there's a lot when we're in the freedom communities. We hear a lot about cryptocurrency and stuff. Okay, that's cool. But I think there's something bigger to all of this, and hopefully I'm going to build an argument so you can follow along with me to see where I'm going with it. And the aim is to get us using our imagination and using our creativity. Because as beings here, that is what we have. We're creative and we're imaginative, and that is what will raise our species to a higher consciousness. And we cannot be anymore in the realm that we are now. We have to move. So hopefully this will give you some stuff to think about. Okay, so Bitcoin, the bridge to end monetary mind control. We are all under mind control right now. And here's how I'm going to prove it to you. Imagine a world where right now you had no money in your pocket, no money in your bank account, and you weren't receiving any income at all, period. End of story. Sit and imagine that. No money. So I know he's adjusting the volume. So right now with your car and getting groceries, getting food, you couldn't get any of it. You don't have it. You don't have anything to exchange. How do you feel? So we have the 5 basic emotions: happiness, sadness, scared, shame, or anger. What of those emotions are you feeling if you imagine that? Scared. Right? Hungry, yeah. Right? But if you needed gas, or if you needed things for your family, your kids, yeah, you would be terribly frightened. There's got to be something. So it's a belief that if we don't have this, we won't survive, which is money, right? That is mind control, 100%. And that moves into a scarcity mindset. And all of that is mind control as well, that there's scarcity, okay? We have this idea that water is going to run out, that there won't be enough, that there's not enough food, there's not enough land on this planet, there's not enough space for us to live. All this stuff that goes on and on and on and on and on just builds fear and fear and fear into us. Fear is the lowest level emotion. It's just like you're dead. If you're in fear, you're not living at all. Okay? This leads to hoarding, wealthy people buying 6 houses all over the world and having empty houses all over the world. It just leads to more and more scarcity to pull in so I can get mine. I can get mine because there's no else around us, so it's going to be me only. It feeds the ego, which breaks us away from unity and peace and love, right? How did we get here? There are people that have been around for a long, long time, a select few of people that are master psychologists. And we are slaves under their control. They are influencers. They influence us. If you turn on the radio, if you turn on the TV, you will be influenced easily. We're very vulnerable species. We can be our amygdala, our limbic system in our brain stem reacts. It's the fight, flight, and F word, the sex, right? It's that piece, that's the amygdala that keeps us going on and on without the neocortex. Our neocortex is the outer realm of the brain. That is like the moral says, well, wait a second, hold on, wait a minute, and lets me think. That's the cortex. The limbic system drives us instantly without me thinking of it. It's the lizard brain, right? So master psychologists know how to exploit that in us. They know how to use that so we go into fear, and then once we're in fear, we don't think with our cortex, right? So this is the process that we're under. And what they used with money is the man I, right? The one I. It is a representation of our consciousness. And it is no coincidence that the US dollar bill is green. If you look around you, where do you see green right now? It's all around us. Green is life. Yeah, the grass is beautiful. Green is life. There doesn't need to be a representation. They did it on purpose. Unconsciously, green means survival. It means that we live, that we can see another day. What also is beautiful is the sun, and that makes the whole cycle happens, right? So they use these symbolisms to pull us under and get stuck into. If we're not thinking about this and we're not aware of it, we can get pulled in really quickly. So hopefully we can become aware of these things so we don't get pulled in. Okay? And again, that fear taps into primitive states of mind. So primitive states of mind are like when we're a little baby and we need to nurse. And you know how if you've seen a little baby and it's really hungry, they lose their shit literally. They shit their pants, they're crying, their faces blush. They are going to die if they don't get the mother's milk, right? They know this. The Tavistock Institute, I was trained under the Tavistock method for my postdoctoral work, so I know how this stuff works. The Tavistock Institute in London, they're a really good institute, esoterically know how the mind works, but I think some of these dark psychologists have got in and exploited that. So they know how to tap into that part of us. So just so you know, okay? And that's what triggers the amygdala, and the amygdala is that fight or having sex, right? That's that urge driving us, and they know how to trigger that into us. And if they use a scarcity model, it triggers our fear. Then we're stuck into fear, and then everything they say, we say yes, yes, yes. I don't want to die. Yes, yes. I don't want to die. Right? This pulls us into that space. Okay. So the problem with that, though, is many problems. But the one problem is the institutions that regulate and regulate and just look after money. It's a government, and as we know, government literally means mind control. Gubernare means control, and mens means mind in Latin. So it literally is mind control. So an institution puts this out there for us to grab onto. It keeps us in the mind control, and then obviously that institution is immoral because it breaks many things in natural law. There's 6 things: don't murder, don't rape, don't steal, don't trespass, don't coerce, and don't lie. And government probably does 5 of those. And any organism, it's an immoral institution, right? So to be enlightened, we have to move ourselves into a moral position and to say no. We just got to say no and move on. Don't get stuck in the fear, right? And part of this, if you don't really know how money works, the research I've been doing, and I'm not in the financial institution and stuff like that, but what we know is there's fractional reserve banking. We know of the Federal Reserve, how it issues interest rates, and it tries to regulate the money supply. They have no idea how to do it, but they're just doing it. And then we have promissory notes. So the more you study this, look this all up on your own, please, but the more you get into this, you realize how criminal and just phony it all is, right? So fractional reserve banking is if you give the bank $100, they can loan out 90 of that dollars instantly. They don't even have it, but they can loan it out, and they don't have it. So that creates more out of thin air, really, in that part. And then when the IRS, not the IRS, but when the Federal Reserve moves, they're telling what the Treasury, what it needs to print and all that stuff, so it just keeps making more money. And then when you take out a loan, that's a whole mess, because what happens is you sign your name, which is indentured servitude for the next 30 years, that you're giving your labor to them. The bank gets they get your future labor, they get the asset, which is the house or the car or whatever. Then that's a promissory note. Then they sell that promissory note. They get the full money of the promissory note. And so they already got paid, and then you double pay them back. What? It's insane. This is what we're all under, and this is what we're so scared of losing. Like, hello, let's move out of this, please. It's enough. Let's be done with this. It's enough now. Another Mike Maloney does this Hidden Secrets of Money on YouTube. You should watch it. It really breaks down how the monetary system works in the U.S. And then that promissory note idea, there's a book called America's Hope to Cancel Bank Loans Without Going to Court. And that's where I read about the promissory note system and how that works. And I've used some of that system to send off to my the U.S. Department of Education for my student loans, and I have them in default. So, yes. So it's a 3-letter process that I sent them. I said, please show me the accounting details of the loan. Please show me that. They're like, and then they sent me a validation. Here's the loan that it exists, but they didn't show me that the verification that the loan is actually the accounting process. And I gave them over 60 days, and they still didn't produce it. So, good luck coming after me now, fuckers. Okay, so, all right. So now, if we move into a new philosophical position, that there's abundance. Food grows free from the ground. Water is unlimited. Oil is unlimited. We have all that we need right now. And the world produces that. There is no scarcity. Everybody can live in Texas. The whole world can live in the size of Texas and have like 2,000 square feet for each person in the home. There's enough. We have enough. Okay? So that's abundant. So we have to shift our consciousness into that position. So how are we going to get there? Well, Murray Rothbard is an Austrian economist, and Mises Institute and Cato Institute, if you know these websites, they're anarcho-capitalists. They almost got it right. They got a complete anarchist, but they got the capitalists, well, they're still stuck in a monetary cycle. But once they get rid of that and they become an anarchist, then we're talking. But Murray Rothbard, he's really smart, and he came up with this idea where could we be in a system? So so I told you the problems of money, right? Okay, now we got that because that's a problem. How do we get out of that? Okay, so Rothbard theorized that we could have an economy where there is no money. For that to happen, there would have to be a limited static money supply. There can't be any more made, right? So you put it in, that's it, and everybody uses that. And then as that happens, that's a deflationary system because there's only a little bit amount, everybody needs it, so it keeps going up, the law of supply and demand, okay? And then, therefore, everything around us, since it's abundance, will go down. Will go down in price. So we need a currency that is static. It doesn't move. Currently, the U.S. money that we have, the fiat currency is what governments produce, and fiat actually means to begin, to create. So those psychopaths have so much audacity to think that they just created life from this money. They created life, and we all follow it, like they're the creators of that. They're just like you and I, though, right? It's weird. So we need a static money supply. So a static money supply will keep going up and up and up, and then everything will keep going less and less expensive. Less expensive until it's so much energy to exchange the medium, you're just going to give it away for free. So use your imaginations, please, with me. Imagine a world where you ask for it and it's given. Yes, imagine a world where you ask for and it's given, and we all work in that because it already is free. If we stopped exchanging the fiat currency right now and did our same behavior, everything would stay the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm pushing a little hard, so think about this, but you can challenge me, but this is, my energy. But okay. So this article is called Non-Monetary Civilization. It's a good argument about you got to have a static money supply. So now, here's where Bitcoin comes in. Now, like I said, Bitcoin will work itself out. This is not a thing about Bitcoin. This is an esoteric idea on how to live on this planet. But we need a bridge to get us there to break us out of the mind control. And Bitcoin, I think, is the contender to do that. And eventually we won't need Bitcoin anymore because it'll work itself out of existence. So Bitcoin is a static money supply. There's only 21 million ever made. It can't be counterfeited. It's never been hacked. It's got a very heavy crypto on it, and it's decentralized, so no one can own it. Now, whatever you hear about Bitcoin and people talking all this stuff, they're wrong. Read the Bitcoin wiki. And you got to have a proper argument if you talk about Bitcoin. Now, other cryptocurrencies are great, but it has to be a static money supply. That's the key, and it has to be decentralized where nothing can be owned. That's the key. Okay, and then that will move us into that process. So far, is everybody okay? Okay. All right. So, and also what I like about Bitcoin is that the technology underneath it is it allows you to, which I'm running on my own server, it allows you to be your own point of sale. So I take Bitcoin in my practice and I host that privately. I'm my own node, so I have my own private node that accounts for all the stuff, so it doesn't go any else. I verify it, and then I have my own private wallet. All that's contained on my server that I can install on my software right now, and I have been doing it for a while. So that's what I love about it. So if we all just move into it's already available, we just have to go out and reach it. If we just do this, and I can help you think about how to implement that, if you just reach out and do it, we could already move, we could do it tomorrow and be out of the US system instantly. It's right there, we just have to take the action. So that's why I'm so excited to say it. And then once we move into that, we'll just become infinitely wealthy because everything's abundant, and then we'll move into a resource-based economy where you ask and it's given. You see how that bridges over? But right now, we're in a system that I told you all the horrors of that system, and how it, and then it can be made and made and made and made, which produces more scarcity and non-abundance. Okay? And a few notes on practically moving into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is private property. No one can claim it at all. If someone says they claim it, or a group of people say, no, that's ours, you owe us on it, they're lying to you. No one can claim it, okay? It is your property. Now, if you go the way of a government where they say, there's a term called capital asset. So if you read what a capital asset is in the IRS code, everything that you own in your home is a capital asset, and that's property of the IRS. Everything you own, property of the IRS, private use. The audacity, right? Hell no. And so, and that's the thing, if we're in a scarcity mindset and we believe that people have authority over us, we get lost in that, where we get taken up in all of that, and we just give over, and we're living in fear. It's the problem. But if we realize that they're just people offering something to you, and you don't have to move into that, and there's already a system outside of that, we can advance our species like that. So again, if you and also with Bitcoin, you can buy it privately and anonymously, so no one has any tag on it. There's probably 98% of the way to buy Bitcoin now is through where they tag you. It's honeypotting you. But the software that it's available, what actually Bitcoin is that you can buy it anonymously, like I just said, and no one knows what you're doing, okay? And so that's another beautiful piece of this technology. Now it's a technology that will fade away and will move into a higher consciousness, but that's just a bridge to get us to where we need to go, is what I'm saying. So right now the technology is there. Okay, so that's my argument. That was my idea. But again, the last thing, it's a process of us moving ourselves as a species into a greater consciousness, because we have to understand that we're all one. If one suffers, we all suffer. That is the key. And so if we understand that we're all connected in one, then we can move into a space where our imagination and our creativity can move into these new resources that are already available. We don't have to even create a new world. It's already there. Okay. Sam. Yes. I love you too, brother.
Killing it. And I'm not challenging your idea.
Okay. You can, though.
But, there's no but. And, also, I like your starting point, I like your end point, where we should all give it away freely, right?
Yes.
So you made a statement that I want you to flesh out. That's what I'm
okay, yeah, sure, go for it.
You said at some point it's going to become so expensive to transact.
Yes.
Can you flesh that out? Well, for me.
Yeah. We've never seen a deflationary currency ever in my lifetime, in my grandparents' lifetime. We don't know what that even looks like. And literally what that means, it'll always go up. That doesn't make any sense. Bitcoin will always go up. Because of the static nature, there's only going to be so many made, right? And so, therefore, in the law of supply and demand, it will become more valuable because there's not enough of it, right? And so more people want it. And with Bitcoin, it breaks down to the right now, 8 decimal points beyond the period. That's called 1 Satoshi. Okay? So at 0001, that's a Satoshi, 8 zeros. With Bitcoin, you can break it down to 12 or 24, just keep going and going and going. So there's 7 billion people in the world, and there's only 21 million Bitcoin, right? So eventually, it'll just keep breaking down. So right now, a Satoshi, 1 Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis if you have a full Bitcoin. 100 million Satoshis is what you have. And I can't think of that. I don't have the numbers right now, but I think, well, I'm not going to even say it. But anyways, because I don't know the math. But in the future, a house will be like 30,000 Satoshis. And then eventually it's going to be 10,000 Satoshis. And then it's going to be 100 Satoshis. And then it's going to be like, well, I already have enough houses. Here's, I'll give you one. I'm using my imagination creativity here, but if we can imagine it and move into that space, that's how it'll work. It'll just keep going up because the demand will be higher and higher, right?
I get that part, but what about the part where it's going to be too expensive to transact?
Not too expensive. It'll just too much work. It'd be like, I don't even want to open my phone to get out the wallet to transfer it to you. Just have it, right? It'll get to that point. Okay?
But how do you give it to them?
Smaller communities, maybe? Like
So,
exchange?
yeah, so smaller communities, I would say we need to start implementing the software onto our computers now and start doing it like what I've done. And I have a little side project where I'm doing that for folks, but we just need to start doing that and putting that on and then like if you run a business or if you run a store or anything, use Bitcoin. Just do it that way and use the software. And I can talk about that. Okay. Yeah.
I just did a little bit of math. If there's 100 million Satoshi per Bitcoin, there's 21 million Bitcoin, there's 7 billion people. That means if we divide it equally, everyone would get 300,000 Satoshi.
Uh-huh.
Which means that if you ever want to transact any smaller than that, you could. So, doesn't quite answer your question, but that's the math.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, and then it would be broken down even more. They're called like microbits or something, if the speculation. Uh-huh.
Well,
Yeah.
You go down to microseconds.
Yeah, uh-huh.
What I was going to say, it's not about Bitcoin, it's about our relationship to other people and being charitable and loving kind. There's people in positions of power.
Yes.
They like the power.
Yes.
They do whatever they can to hold the power, which means when they say jump, and I'm like, dude, I'm not going to jump. They get pissed off and they want to hurt me. They're going to try to hurt me. And if I keep living responsibly and paying attention, having friends, yada, 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 they're going to fail. And they're going to get angry and they're going to start destroying stuff. So, the better thing is, look, you're coming to here and you're threatening me to jump in. So what I'm going to do is defend myself, and that's going to hurt you.
Yes.
Don't do it anymore.
Yes.
That's
The divine masculine.
what we have to do.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the divine masculine. Correct. And one more thing I want to say is that those people in power, they're not doing anything. We're allowing them. Okay.
And all
right.
the people that have guns that are serving them, they are choosing to think that's right. So
Yes.
I think that we have to defeat all of the guns in the world, but we definitely won't. All we have to do is defeat the idea that people think it's okay to use the guns.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
As soon as people realize it's no longer okay to hurt each other, it doesn't matter how many guns there are.
Yes. Yes. It's a moving consciousness. Okay. One more question, then I'll stop.
You gotta do it first.
Not like the guns.
Okay. Yeah. The 1099A, yes, I have. I haven't looked into it, but what I read, I was turned off by it. But I can't. I was turned off by that process. I would just rather not even just be involved. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone. I appreciate the attention. Yes. Take care. Yep.
Thank you, Dustin. Okay, next.